Okay, so that was a technical difficulty. Thank you very much for joining us for the second session of hashtag Immersive Juakali at Fak'ugesi Festival this evening. Thank you very much for giving us your time this late. My name is Nyambura Warenge. I'm the founder and creative director of a Korean company, and we run a series, hashtag Immersive Juakali, to explore what's happening in the metaverse. Now we call it the metaverse, all over in terms of AR, VR, MR, WebXR, and now new to all of us, blockchain and NFTs. And so this session is called Trajectories. It's looking at present and future and what's beyond the headset. In our previous session, it was about storytelling. A lot of it was VR and AR, as well as 3D worlds that are being with Edward Lobo, which were now as NFTs. So this time we're looking at what's beyond that and what are the opportunities. So I'll start with David and Adam from Zamani Skateboards. You guys can introduce yourselves, and followed by Kume Chibsa of Afro Valley, before we'll then dive into your presentations and what's new in this space and what's evolving in terms of web and blockchain. So welcome, David and Adam.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Yawe. I'm a designer and the founder of Zamani Skateboards. Pleasure to be here.
Hello, my name is David. Freelance digital artist from Nairobi. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, guys. Kume?
Hi, my name is Kume. I'm based in Ethiopia. I'm the founder and CEO of Afro Valley. It's a blockchain platform that's currently supporting farmers in their social welfare and improvement. Thank you.
Okay, so what I love about this panel today is that it seems like they come from such different spaces, but you'll see a lot of the similarities and possibilities. One of our panelists, Arome Ibrahim, is actually not here for this. He won, and he is at GITEX in Dubai. He won an innovation award. His company won an innovation award, and his concentration is really looking at VR, AR, immersive technology for education and heritage. So we wish him well. We're really excited that he's there. Of course, my version is he's representing us, all of us. And so I'm just glad that he had that opportunity, and we'll get to speak to him another time and see where basically the state of affairs as concerning his projects that are around heritage and education in immersive technology work. So Adam and David, I'd like to for you to speak a little bit about your work in WebXR, really, and how you chose the internet as a platform for the projects that you did have, Independence, and just like really just tell us more about what were the challenges, your inspirations to create this project, and then your collaboration, because you guys collaborated on it with different abilities. So let's see, we'd like to know more, and tell us about Independence and how it came to be, and Zamani Skateboards.
Thank you, Nyambura. So Zamani Skateboards is a Kenyan skateboard brand that just tries to explore Kenyan culture through the lens of skateboarding. That's the idea. And the Independence VR project was supposed to be like an art feature, almost like an exhibition, but also a premiere for the video that David was working on, which was untitled, but let's call it Independence for now. So the idea was to just surround the video with work by Kenyan skateboarders who also are artists, to kind of contextualize it and ask that question of like, what would independence look like from the point of view of a skateboarder? Because we know that skateboarding is not a Kenyan phenomenon, but what are the Kenyan aspects of skateboarding that are unique, I would say.
Yeah. Would you be able to share that, the journey,
yeah.
the screen and everything?
Let me just share that actually. So here's the experience. It's about a minute long, so I'm just going to play it.
Yeah. Are you also sharing the volume? The sound, rather?
It's not really sustainable because there's nothing really happening. Everything's kind of ground to a halt somewhat. I think we just have to adapt. I think with the things that we know, obviously it's changed.
And there we have the credits. So I'll just invite David to talk a bit about the film as it's playing in the background.
Okay, so the video started, I think it was just after COVID. COVID had just come, and then like the incentive was to stay at home. So at the time I was like exploring like a visual style, like something that I would be comfortable doing. And then like during my time on the internet during that period, I stumbled upon like a Mac Miller video, and then the visual style caught me because like it was full of collages and they were moving. So after that, like I told Adam about it, and then we shared some like references and inspiration, and then started working on it. Adam helped a lot with the rotoscope, and then initially the intention, we didn't have like a set like, okay, now this is what we're going to do, but it was like more free flowing energy. Like, yes, we can go like this or we can go like that. And like, I think with the audio, we went through like 2 different variations, where like it was similar, although like the one we went with finally was like what is there on the video. Yeah, and it took like about a month. I can't remember how we planned to release it, but like somehow it ended up on like Instagram. Yeah, I guess there wasn't like much. We didn't overthink the process. It was just like, let's just do this, and then yeah. So, and then like Adam, like doing the whole VR. I wasn't expecting it, but like after seeing it, it was like it added to the whole experience. So I'm happy with the work that he did. Now we're here.
Well, congratulations.
The initial idea was actually a physical exhibition, but of course during Corona, no one was doing physical exhibitions. So I just thought, what would be the best way to share these artworks and the film together, but in a digital space, in a way that really felt immersive. And VR then came to mind, but purely because of the lack of, the headsets. I thought, what would be the easiest way to do VR, but without a headset? And that's when I stumbled across WebVR and A-Frame, which is the tool we used to build that. And
that's something like I find no one talks about A-frame as much as it needs to be spoken about. For someone like myself who also I'm not necessarily a coder, but the fact that with A-frame you can do that simply and really transform experience to work on the web, I feel it's like this hidden secret, and I don't understand why. Like, what powers that be are they keeping it away from us? So so your consideration for web was basically then around access and considering, like, in the sense of the headset and kind of going beyond that. Did it change how the creative process happened by any chance? Did it change that immersive experience, how you then developed it to create immersion? Like, now that you don't have the headset, how did you use the web?
So that's the thing, is I didn't come from the headset into web. The web was always the initial one.
Wow.
So I can say that, yeah, nothing changed since we were doing it purely from a web perspective. It was not thinking about what can't the headset do. Yeah. That's
really brave to say, and very different. That it is really different, considering that the headset is the epitome of the immersive experience, as in terms of industry. But for you guys to just kind of say we're using the web and it was web specific is really wonderful to hear. David, anything to add to that?
No, I think Adam has covered it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to thank you very much. I'm going to then continue with Kume, just so that we can. So we've talked about web and how we have actually web-specific immersive experiences that aren't about necessarily just having a different iteration of it. And I just before we go into your work, I just wanted to read out some stats for us so that we understand why the web, and the fact that particularly in Africa, most of our access is by the phone, on the phone through mobile telephony. And so within Kenya, it being a special case, and I think it will expand into other African countries. I'm not saying we're going to skip the laptop. It's going to be there. But the fact that telephony is how we access and how we really have our access to the web, as well as mobile money and all of that. So the stats from Kenya are that mobile telephony penetration is at 91%. Mobile internet penetration in Kenya is 83%. The Android has 90% market share as a mobile operating system. We're using TikTok, Facebook, and WhatsApp the most as the top 3 apps. Most visited website is Google. Basically, our biggest activity is sports betting. So we're into gaming and money. And our average data bundle usage is about 10 MB per day. So you're really looking at a space in which it's mobile first, really. A lot of audiences are on the mobile. A lot of work is accessed through the mobile phone. So that also places artists who also consider the web, and immersive artists who consider the web as a place to disseminate their work and to grow audiences. It really is a great space as we progress to the headset, if that is where they want to watch what they call prime content. But here we are with Zamani Skateboards that developed a specifically web XR experience. So that's really exciting. And I hope that you guys the audience can get to watch it. It's online at zamaniskateboards.com, right? Yeah, okay. At zamaniskateboards.com. And it really is quite an experience, both on the phone and on the laptop. So Kume, I welcome you to tell us about your work in this XR space.
Okay, I'm just sharing my screen quickly. Can you see my slides?
They're coming up slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The beauty of the African, infrastructure.
I tell you.
Yeah, so my name is Kume, as I mentioned earlier. So I founded a company called Afro Valley, primarily focused on agriculture to start with. It's a blockchain-based platform. And the idea is basically how do we utilize blockchain and extended tech like AR and VR and NFTs to really empower our farmers, because agriculture is basically our bread and butter.
Yeah.
So just to give a bit of a context, as we know, 60% of the African population bases their income on agro sector. And this is also 23% of the GDP comes from that as well. But then yet we are still poor, as you all know, especially the area that I'm really focused on now, which is the Ethiopia, but then a specific region called the Oromia region, where it hosts around 15 million population, which 55% of the agro production comes from that area to the East Africa continent. But yet we're basically, each farmer earns $2 per day, while basically, I guess the other side of the supply chain makes huge money out of it. So the idea is basically, how do we make sure that wages and incomes are fairly distributed, and the farmers are properly incentivized, so that not only basically we develop our community and ultimately develop Africa, but then also there's this practice around fair wages and sustainable development around agro sector, and then also the farmers are properly, when they're incentivized, they can be productive, and then we'll have a longevity around agriculture. So that's basically where we bases our concept, and then launched a marketplace called Afro Valley. It's basically connecting farmers to buyers directly by not fully displacing, but streamlining the supply chain, minimizing basically the unnecessary middleman, and then shifting the power both to the farmer and then to the buyer. So from instead of a farmer earning $18 a month, with our platform, we're going to be basically empowering the farmer to earn up to $200, which is a huge shift.
Yeah.
So our platform looks like pretty much like this from a snapshot point of view. It's more a personalized platform. We try to understand the users, both from the farmer or the buyer. We first capture what their needs are and customize their web or the application based on what their interests are. In addition, as part of the whole income movement, so we believe also some of our commodities have they're not just an economical source, but then they're also a social culture attachment to our society. For example, if we take coffee is utilized for peacemaking, Thanksgiving, weddings. So there is a whole lot of social culture aspect to it than just commercial. But then if you look at how coffee is priced today, it's priced for its, let's say, commercial value, not just for its intrinsic value. So we really want to incentivize, we really want to basically see if we can empower, or if we can influence that marketplace or that pricing in the likes of New York Exchange, by educating the consumer and the market with proper tools like NFTs, by utilizing NFTs and digital arts. We basically aim to educate consumers and then also the supply chain, so that actually these commodities are properly priced, and they actually include also values, not just extrinsic values. So the idea is to basically capture all this essence, and then launch it in some sort of a digital artwork, marketed, branded, and then basically get a better price, which ultimately actually also improve the income of the farmer. So just to summarize it, the idea is basically for us to capture all the SDGs, from no poverty, zero hunger, reduce inequalities, and all that aspect using tech, blockchain, NFTs, AR and VR's NFT to narrate our story and do better pricing, which basically also impact the income of the farmer. All this have a challenge, which basically Nambra also mentioned earlier as well in terms of the stats. We're not, especially Ethiopia, we're very in the low end of tech penetration. We have a poor infrastructure adoption. We're still at 17.9, while Kenya is in the 80s and the 90s. So our idea is basically, we're trying to see if we can go beyond offering platforms. If we can provide digital skills to our farmers and users, if we can support them also in accessing digital infrastructure. We can afford all that, but then our partnership model basically offers the partnership that's needed with government and NGOs to enrich the society to come to the virtual world, to basically upgrade their digital skills so that they can access our platform. And also, right now, the NFT aspect is around, for us, someone to do the art and for us to market it, but ultimately, we want the farmer to release their own NFT. By basically, that NFT will capture their farming experience and it can be sold with their commodity, along with their commodity, capturing the value that today it's not captured. So empowering the farmer is all about our project using tech. So we're not only just, our ambition is beyond Ethiopia or Oromia, we're planning to basically go within the East Africa region, and we want this tool to be a regional integration tool and a movement within the region. So this is it, Nambra.
Oh, thank you so much, Kume. I always love hearing your work, and I just love how where we started with Afro Valley and where we are now, how how VR and AR is becoming a part of that space, and NFTs, and just no one thinks about agriculture and like digital art making a difference. No one really places those two together. Interestingly enough, I feel like you and Edward, who is in the other session, need to speak because he is an NFT artist, and he has, he creates this really beautiful worlds. And I'll definitely put you guys in contact. But what made you, because when we met, it's this year, right? Or last year. Yeah. It just feels very low. Yeah. When we met, you had been studying Afro Valley. Really remember when I was like, you did blockchain in Africa. I want to understand how this is happening. And not only did you do it and launch a platform, launched, a working prototype, you now are thinking of what made the VR, AR, NFT link make sense for you and the business, where now digital art becomes part of a business model, so to speak?
Yeah, very good question. So while I was going through that experience of how do we actually promote and sell commodities or even promote our farmers, is we couldn't basically express their journey and the technology we had, or because yes, you can connect farmers and buyers. Yes, they can sell their commodity, but it's just a commodity. But then when you look at these commodities, it means a lot to the farmers. It means a lot to the community. And then also, for example, coffee. Coffee contributes a lot to the world. Coffee originated from Ethiopia, but that story is not properly narrated. It's not properly commercialized.
Someone once told me it's Arabian coffee. I said, no, it's Arabica. It's not Arabian. It's Arabica. It's a strain of coffee. It was really ridiculous. But please do go on.
Yeah, and then on top of that, when you see the value of coffee, it's not just something that you can just grab and drink. It means a lot to our society, to the indigenous people. And they used it again to solve problems, to solve conflicts, right? All this tool today, beyond a weapon that's being sold $1 million, is being utilized in our community. So how do you really promote that? Like maybe sometimes word may not express it. So we have to find a way to narrate those stories in a beautiful way, and in a way it can be impactful. So we thought VR and AR are like the base tools to basically capture, and then for people to relate and to have that nostalgia. And then also NFT would be the finance vehicle where it can actually capture all these things, but then incentivize back the farmer. So basically it's all about that promotion, marketing, and then also some sort of educational and an awareness tool, right? And the other thing that also caught my eyes was around, I was reading the story in the past where Louis Vuitton actually took this blanket concept or design from, I don't know, it's from South Africa or Kenya, and they were selling it a million, but they never accredited that society. Right? So for us, we can't fight right now intellectual property. As a private citizen, I can't say Ethiopia owns coffee, and basically coffee is, it's given to the world as a gift from Ethiopia. But the only way I can basically narrate story and then try to see if I can find a way to protect that indigenous knowledge and skill and embed it in people's mind is basically by utilizing this easy ways of promoting and then also, I guess, protecting those assets, right? So this basically protecting indigenous knowledge and skills can be achieved with the tools like NFT, because today NFT is used as an art protection, right? But then what are these, let's say, intrinsic knowledges that you can actually protect, and so that it won't be abused by the conglomerates, and then be used as a commercial tool. But when it has a lot meaning, and then an acknowledgement should be given to the farmers and to the African nation and Ethiopia ultimately as well. So those are the thoughts that was basically driving me to see how can I actually integrate all this beyond just creating this commercial peer-to-peer marketplace and actually drive it as a premium platform where you can actually have a better conversation, a better engagement, a better value, and then also a bigger impact in a global scale.
Yeah. Wow. Congratulations. I'm absolutely moved. I really appreciate your work and the way you work. I mean, when we talk, it's like you're in agriculture and blockchain, in the art and culture space. But it is just so wonderful when those two things come together, because our agriculture is they're our national heritages, in a way. Like for me, the community I come from, it's the women who are farmers, and they're the ones who were stolen to farm coffee plantations for British Empire. Why? Because they had that knowledge. And these are the stories. As you said, there is an intrinsic value to what have been turned into commodities. And it's that kind of coming back to our heritage and learning better and more, and then expanding it into the new world as we see it, as we experience it, and as we can change it. And that is such a big congratulations to you and Afro Valley. And that's also what I see Zamani Skateboard doing with, I know independence became independence later, and we missed a very important part of when it starts, and it really starts about saying how, the transference of power was very easy in Kenya, and we had none of that, but questioning independence and using that platform to kind of come back and question ways in which our heritage might have been, how do you say it, misinformed, so to speak. Zamani, David, or Adam, would you like to just talk more about that and talk for like how does the web offer that space to you as artists?
Offers a space for us to talk about independence, or the idea of
like how you guys hacked the idea of independence in that WebXR experience.
Okay, so I think David spoke about his inspirations, his visual inspirations at least. But from a cultural perspective, the idea of independence is just like, how do you survive on your own using the tools and tricks that come intrinsically from you? So if you look at the experience, the first thing you see is a skate ramp, but it's in the shape of a mkokoteni.
Yes, so, I love that.
So the idea is just like, the original skate ramps, at least, were gigantic pipes in the US that were supposed to divert water. And when there were empty, skateboarders would go and take over those spaces. But we don't have
Actually,
those
could you
here.
explain to our audience what a mkokoteni is? Because we're technically in South Africa.
So mkokoteni is it's a hand cart that's used a lot in Kenya for just transporting many things, vegetables. In fact, I think the entire food ecosystem, at least in Nairobi, but probably around Kenya, is run by people just pushing these hand carts around. So the question of that first,
and water delivery.
In water, yeah. So basically, you could say this country runs on kokotenis.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just the idea of looking at what are these things that local skateboarders would take over and use, because if you say that a half pipe is a universal thing for skateboarder, it's not, because a Kenyan skateboarder would never skate on half pipe naturally. Like we'd have to build one from scratch. So what are those things that we find in our environment as skateboarders that we can then repurpose? Because a lot of that skateboarding culture is about DIY and repurposing what's around you, recontextualizing the spaces around you. So yeah, so that's the first key to just that whole experience of independence. Then the second piece is a piece called Girl Skater by a skateboarder called Michael Liney. And it's about how not difficult, but how individual the experience of being a female skateboarder is, because there's not many of them. So if you look at the piece, you'll see a single female skateboarder just alone on the canvas.
Do you have that to show us by any chance?
I could just share the experience again.
So for me, even when Kume and Afro Valley and Zamani skateboards, it's hashtag build cause you have to, and that's kind of the tagline, the mantra of Fak'ugesi this year. And it really, I think, for me, when I was kind of curating these talks and kind of thinking about people who I wanted to speak to, all this different type of ideas, it was just learning about your work and seeing how you're building because you have to. It might not be in your space, but how you're taking on a very enterprising spirit and saying, you know what, we may not have a headset, but we can do it on the web. Our coffee actually has intrinsic value beyond the commodity. How do I make that become part of that value chain? And how do I educate people about it? So you're creating something from scratch and using, digital art and agriculture coming together in non-conventional ways, because most of the time it's, paintings of coffee plantations and all of that type of stuff, but really coming together in a way that serves the industry, serves the farmers. So yeah, thank you very much. So with this one, we're going to show the female skateboarder.
Yeah, it's here.
Okay.
So as you're going through, you can see this is the mkokoteni in purple here.
Yeah.
Then as we go past the mkokoteni, now you can see here the painting of the female skateboarder. Then the final piece was Dedan Kimathi, but instead of wielding a gun and a dagger, which is what he's usually depicted as wielding, he has a skateboard and skate trucks and a skate tool. Yeah.
A skate tool. And okay, because we're in South Africa, who is Dedan Kimathi to us?
Yeah, sorry. So Dedan
That's the
Kimathi.
truth. Actually, you know what? Adam, Aki, David, don't answer a question, not even one.
No,
I'm
Adam
sure.
is talking.
I'm sure David can tell us who Dedan Kimathi was.
And the choices for that skateboard and the skate implement.
Kimathi was a person who had similar hair to mine, very instrumental in fighting for our independence. There's a statue of him in the middle of Nairobi capital. So I think Adam was inspired by the statue and tried to make his own version or his own interpretation of what a modern day Dedan Kimathi would be like. Okay, at least that's how I perceive his interpretation. Yeah. Adam, back to you.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. That was from the art side. That's how we interpreted the theme of independence. I don't know if David wants to talk about how from the film side that
Um,
was, yeah.
With the video, it was like a mix and match sort of thing. There wasn't like, okay, now I'm doing this. It was like, how like can this go? Like it was like me exploring something without like boundaries or like being told, okay, now this is like a visual, like a good visual aesthetic is supposed to be this way or that way. It was like I was just like figuring out like what feels right visually, and Adam was there to like tell me, hey, we can try this, we can try that. But mostly it was like me coming up with the idea and then like pushing to Adam and see what his response was. Well, I don't know what inspired the audio because like the audio is an excerpt of Mzee Jomo. Mzee Jomo was like the first president of Kenya. So I found this excerpt of him talking, and then like I was like trying to find out like how I can do it in like modern way. So I thought I would mix it up with a voice message that a friend had sent me about like what at the time was like the current COVID situation. So when I tried to mix the two and then like put like a soundtrack underneath, it sounded good to me. And like since I didn't have like, okay, now I'm sticking to something, it was like, okay, this feels okay, we can try this. And then Adam was like supportive. So that's how the audio ended up guiding how the visual aesthetic was to be. And the audio was like kind of like independent centric. So yeah, it was like a freestyle session for a month and like it ended up working out.
Cool. So it's 9 now, and I'd like to wrap up. I really thank you guys for participating. So for Zamani Skateboards, what's in the future? What's in the present and the future? What are you working on? And where can people find you to see more of your work? And is WebXR something you're going to continue or to explore and make, just web-specific experiences? Yeah, tell us more as we wrap up.
Yeah, so the idea for Zamani Skateboards was always to go into physical products. So this year, next year, we're definitely going to be developing more of that. We started developing fashion, skateboarding-centered fashion, and also trying to figure out ways to feed that into the digital space. A lot of it is through like performance capture, but not in the traditional, like wearing a motion capture suit, like even just rotoscoping out skateboarders. Because we feel like that's a good way to get the physical performance of the skateboarder into a digital realm. So I think, yeah, more exploration on that front. Watch out for us on Instagram at Zamani_skateboards.
Thank you. And Kume, what's Afro Valley gonna be up to moving forward? And particularly now that merger of digital art and the digital art, agriculture, blockchain space has come together. What do you see, not just for you, but I guess in general for the space, like the use case? Because you and I were always talking about what's the use case for this? How is this use case making sense? We've had those type of discussion. So what do you think in terms of a use case for that intersection that's happened out of Afro Valley, but moving forward into maybe other industries?
Yeah, it's basically a big transformation for me for the agro supply chain. And basically shifting the power where it belongs, right? Where it belongs to the farmers, where it belongs to Africa, because we're the source of natural, we are the source of a lot of the raw materials. And basically taking back that power is basically where I see that we can achieve with this platform in a bigger sense, right? So first of all, you start from a micro level, the farmers, but then you move on, you understand the supply chain, and then you influence the supply chain. And then basically you start looking into how do you basically do that shift left? Because previously we're basically the dogs, but then the money machine is out there.
Yeah.
So how do we basically shift that power back and bring it back is basically where I see where the power is. And this is where the true transformation will be for Africa.
Okay. Wow. Are you running for president, prime minister? Can I vote for you? Zamani Skateboards can totally run a web campaign, web XR. Got you. Yeah. Okay, you guys.
But the future, One Africa, we're going to have one Africa president.
Yeah, just one. I mean, all these others, you just need one to sort everything out. The audience, thank you very much for staying with us. And thank you very much, Kume, David, and Adam, for coming on board and doing this with me for hashtag Immersive Juakali, hashtag Build Cause You Have To at Fak'ugesi. We're just really excited, and hopefully people will continue to watch this after and follow you in any way. And also follow your work that you've told us about, where you can find. Kume, did you say where we can find you?
Yes, you can find me at Afro Valley. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. So just Afro Valley.
Afro Valley, at Afro Valley, yes. And so everybody, good night. Everybody, thank you very much for taking the time. And I can't wait to see more. So yeah, I'm checking in like 2 months, just to let you know. In 2 months, I'm checking in and I'm doing an IG live and I want to know what's going on. And I think all of us want to, because you guys are blazing a trail in a space that most people have not really ventured into. So thank you very much for showing us how we can do it.
One thing, Nyambura, you're also an amazing networker, because the NFT aspect, I got to work with an amazing people which you've connected me with. So I love coming to a platform where you're actually bringing us all together to share our experiences and then also taking it forward from here. So thank you.
Thank you. That is basically the reason I started Immersive Juakali, because I was like, where are people? What are they doing? Everybody's somewhere else having questions, or somebody else can answer them for them, and all of that. I was really skeptical about blockchain until I met you and I was like, wait, this makes sense. WebXR, I knew about it, but I saw it with Zamani skateboards and I was like, this makes sense, So you guys also inspire me, and thank you very much. You inspiring me to continue with this work as much as I can. So thank you, and I'm going to sleep so well. And you guys take care, and our audience, thank you very much. And let's wave bye to them as